Hey everyone, it's me, FNAF Merch Plus. You saw the thumbnail, you read the title, you know what we're getting into today. This is a short analysis of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and why it's not as bad as people say it is. Let me start with a short story about me and my history with FNAF. I became a fan, like a lot of people, from watching Markiplier back in 2014. From the first game up to around Sister Location, I spent every single day thinking about this series. Middle school me was very obsessed. I would even go to the Scott Games website every single morning before school and figure out whatever I could from the newest teaser he put up. After Sister Location, though, I started to lose my interest. Not entirely, but I was nowhere near as interested in as the early days of FNAF. I still kept up with FNAF 6 along with Ultimate Custom Night when that was released. That, however, was the last FNAF game I kept up with for a long while. After UCN, I had completely forgotten about this series. So, how am I here talking about FNAF? $20,000 deep into plushies and figures? Security breach. That's how. That leads me to point 1 of this video. Security Breach revitalized the FNAF community. This game brought in so many people, old fans from the Scott era of games like me, and loads of new fans that have never heard of the series before. Take a look at this chart representing searches for the term Five Nights at Freddy's on Google. According to this, FNAF was very popular from its release up until around June of 2017 before dropping off. Then there's nothing for a long time, up until 2020. Now, obviously, part of that could be that a lot more people were home that year, but it's also around the same time Security Breach started getting teased. A teaser for the game released in February of 2021, right here on the chart, with the game releasing right here. This shows that Security Breach brought the series to the most popular it had been in years. Now, I know that the Google Trends charts are not perfect or fully representative of how popular something is, but it is usually a pretty good indicator. This chart also showing a huge spike for the movie's release. Whether or not everyone liked the game, it is one of, if not the most popular game in the entire series. I believe this game changed the course of the franchise and is responsible for its current popularity. A lot of people like to say that Security Breach doesn't feel like a FNAF game, with many reasons for saying so. The three main ones I hear are 1, it isn't scary enough, 2, it changed the gameplay too much, and 3, it's made for kids. First off, let's be so real right now, FNAF has never been super scary. Certain games and moments do get a little spooky, but this game has always been fairly silly with its scares. FNAF 4 and Help Wanted, in my opinion, are exceptions to that, but a majority of these games are just simply not scary. Security Breach also has a few genuinely scary spots, these endos being the most notable. As for changing the gameplay, it needed to change. While the core FNAF gameplay of being a security guard who can't move and fends off animatronics until 6 a.m. worked in 2014, it wouldn't work forever. Sister Location tried this, Help Wanted as well, but Security Breach is where they went all in on changing it. People wanted a change, and this game delivered. The final point I hear is that it was made for kids. This one never made sense to me. FNAF has always been made for kids. Look at the whole series. It's also made for everyone else too, though. FNAF has and always will be made for as many people as possible. The most gore in any of these games is portrayed in 8-bit minigames. I think that Security Breach fits perfectly as a FNAF game. It's got some good scares, plenty of lore to find, well-built environments, and gameplay where you stop animatronics from killing you. That sounds like a FNAF game to me. Now, let's cover the less desirable parts of the game. I'll be the first defender of Security Breach to admit that it does have problems. The Pizzaplex is a huge and highly detailed location, yet large chunks of it go completely unused throughout the entire game. Think about areas like Chica's Bakery, El Chips, Bonnie Bowl, and Roxy's Salon. There's nothing to really do in any of these places. I mean, sometimes you go there to get an item, like Bonnie Bowl, but that's it. The scope of this game is very clearly bigger than what they had time to develop. The game was also extremely glitchy upon release. You've all seen the videos, some people being unable to complete a playthrough without restarting. The game was, and still is by no means perfect. With all that being said, however, I think Security Breach was far overhated for what it is. My first playthrough of the game did have a fair few glitches, and I did lose a few hours from a softlock involving the party pass, but it was still fun. It was fun to explore this massive location and find all the little details that were put into it. It was fun to hear all of Freddy's lines, seeing these characters have personalities like we've never really seen before in FNAF. The dodge and evade gameplay of avoiding the animatronics, the thrill of the West arcade and parts and service sequences, all of this comes together to make, in my opinion, one of the best experiences I've ever had with FNAF. Now, before I end the video, let me address the Orville in the room. When I set out to write this script, I made it without Ruin in mind. Although it is a DLC for the base game of Security Breach, I don't really consider it as such. These two are vastly different, both made with different intentions and purposes in mind. Security Breach is more lighthearted, silly fun, showing Freddy and crew personalities. It allows a lot of exploration and freedom in the route that you take to get to the end. Ruin is the opposite, made for a different section of the fanbase. Dark and spooky, it turns the fun of the Pizzaplex into a more scripted horror experience for fans who wanted a little more scare from Security Breach. Both are great, but even in a world without Ruin, I would still be defending Security Breach. So, that's the video. What do you think of Security Breach? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next Friday, where I'll be going over everything that comes out for FNAF's 10th anniversary and what it all means. Goodbye!